What's up, everybody? It's Cliff. Give me one moment here to get this all going correctly. What? Doo-doo-doo. There we go. This out. Pop this out. Hey, I'm actually doing cropping in the loading screen instead of doing it while I'm live. That never happened. All right. Hey, everybody. So, tonight's going to be a little bit different than usual. Um, Tonight we're gonna do a one-on-one session or a duet, if you will. Um, and we're gonna explore Devian's backstory a little bit. Um, I told him that we were gonna do this to kind of propel the story a little bit. When Sin wasn't gonna be able to make it, but that changed and he could make it, and then so now we're gonna do it. Actually, it kind of worked out well because a couple of our players had some issues. A couple of our players are traveling right now, so it kind of works out perfectly. So I'm not sure if we're gonna do this as a continuation per se, or like a side story. I don't know how you would even put it really, but we're going to be doing a one-on-one session to explore Devian's dilemma, is what I'm calling it. Um, I'm not sure if a recap's even really necessary. I guess it kind of is. So, you want to do the recap, Sin, or you want me to do it?
I kept going in and out like throughout the whole thing, so there was a bunch of parts I wasn't there for.
Okay.
Maybe or if you did it.
Okay. So last week, last week was a nice special week. And just to get the spoilers right out of the way, Kian's character was introduced. New character after Insirion died. R.I.P. Oh, you missed it, Brittany. You could have done it. Exclamation point. R.I.P. 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 So, Insirion died. We got Kian's new character in last week, and we also got a new player, Alex, who joined. And that all happened. So, story-wise, what happened is due to the death of Insirion and all of the things that happened that surrounded as far as the team not working together, the team getting their ass handed to them by the Queen's Guard and Durian. When they finally managed to get away from the battle after all the dust settled, they had a big falling out and the group split up. Reyna and Balavar went their own way. And then the remaining group, which would be Chansey, Bardrak, Vakta, they went their own way. Belvine died. in the Orcus incident, and so did in Sirion. So uh, they went to Klevenskar, talked to Zuminer there, who's the mayor, who was a follower of Tiamat as well. And he basically told them a little bit more information about Orcus and about what was going on, and about how grave of a situation this is, being the fact that this is a cataclysmic event. Orcus only wants destruction, which is bad for everybody. So Vardrak has this idea that he is going to go back to Durian and talk to Bedkey, the new magistrate of Durian, and try to form a truce with him, a temporary alliance for both their benefits. So they go back to the city, they do some disguises. Vakta sneaks into the city and is able to convince Bedkey to grant an audience to Vardrak. They go outside the city walls, they have a conversation. He agrees that it would be in their best interest for everybody to put their differences aside. And Bedkey also tells him that he has no personal grudge with him. Seeing as they are still wanted in the city, though, it makes things a little bit hard. So Chantier ends up going back to Klevenskar, waiting to hear information about the return of Zuminer, who went to the Red Spawn Temple to get more info, or to find out how everybody's doing there. Vakta and Vardrak end up deciding that they're going to go talk to the Mages Guild to see if they can offer any assistance. On their way to the Mages Guild, they hear this commotion, and after following the sound, they find this quirky female dragonborn having an argument with an elf. The elf saying that the dragonborn was living in their house, and the dragonborn exclaiming it was their house and that this person was living in it. Vardrak quickly intervenes and basically deceives everyone into thinking that he knows who this dragonborn is, and kind of whisks her away to the side, like, hey, she's sorry about that. She's with me, blah blah blah. Don't worry about her. Coming to find out, she was also a worshiper of Tiamat. She doesn't quite remember anything from the last 30 days or so. She just remembers being in the cellar of her house. But she is a worshiper of Tiamat, and after seeing Vardrak, and him telling her about his position with Tiamat, decided to join up with them to assist. They go to the Mages Guild. They kind of dubiously accept them in there, tell them that, listen, we would offer assistance wherever we can, but our resources are stretched thin. They're still hunting for the Jackal, who is that elf that put on the ancient mask and gained all the powers of the previous wearers. They're still looking for him, and as far as they know, Vardrak and them are not in any sort of truce with him or coerce with him, and basically said, our main priority is this. We'll help you where we can. We'll reach out to our seers and do some scrying and see if we can find out any other information about Orcus on the material plane. While there, they meet this other elf, this very, very peculiar elf, who is a bard, and is very inquisitive. And then they find out that this bard knows about the party already, has been watching them for a little bit, which piques Vardrak's interest in him. Devian appears there after roaming through the ethereal plane since the Orcus incident. Finds Vardrak, comes back to the material plane, basically tells him that he hasn't heard from the Raven Queen. It's been quiet since this all happened. offers to help Vardrock, but says first he needs to square things up with her. Otherwise, he's afraid that, she might take his powers or his life because, she's the goddess of death. Um, Vardrock gets his armor enchanted, and after picking up the enchantment, there's this loud ruckus, an explosion, the door bursts open, the jackal walks in, essentially freezes time around everybody, and tells Vardrock that he needs his help, and in return, he would be helping himself as well. That the Ashen Covenant, which is a group of priests that follow Orcus, are digging up this powerful artifact, and then asked the group what they know about the Necronomicon. And that's where we ended last week. Yay, I get a DM point. No DM points. So that's where we ended last week. So just some housekeeping items that I like to do. Let me see here. Where is? Huh. Devian, you don't have any PP?
I guess not. I don't think I ever had one of those. Wait, I did. For like one session, I had like my own character spot.
I gotcha. Well, I will give you 3 PP to start it off with. 3 PPs. Okay. Housekeeping items. Yay! So this is an interactive Dungeons & Dragons stream. If you're watching this, you can interact with it. You can do !Amethil, and it will show you all the options that you can do. Essentially, you can use the little thing that's down there on the bottom right-hand corner. There'll be a little icon you can click on that's a coin, I believe. And upon doing that, you can roll on the legendary table with Cliff coins, and those are coins you earn just from being here, chatting, being in the chat in general. And you can also get bonus coins for doing things like following, hosting, rating, subscribing, donating bits, or donating money. That all goes towards it. Speaking of donations, if you want to, there are extra options you could do if you donate, which those are all listed there as well. That you could do things like give a crit success, a crit failure. You could do a wild magic surge, magical items, monsters, the works. So you could do all that kind of stuff. Also, if we get retweets or new followers while we're playing, you could do ! Tweets to see retweets to see the post. But if you get any 5 retweets or 5 new followers, then we will do a community event, which is where you guys get to choose what happens next. So you'll get an option, and you can actually sway the future. For Sin, you know this already, but to be redundant and so the players know, anything that you want to do, as long as it seems feasible and realistic in that given situation, I typically will allow it. I will allow you to attempt it. Whether it succeeds or not is typically up to the dice. But yeah, so let's get this underway. So you're looking around you and you're seeing the Mages Guild basically frozen in place. There's shards of the broken door floating in front of you. If you wanted to, you could even reach up and like move them. You hear him talking, and this is your first time actually seeing the jackal. And
Right.
you notice that he is about your height, a little bit shorter than you. He has this like bronze mask on in a jackal's face, with like these glowing bluish teal eyes. His outfit looks like it is like a leather type armor with some sort of a shawl over top of it. But you notice that on his right hand, he has this gauntlet on, that looks like it's made out of some type of metal that you can't really recognize just from looking at it what it is. Um, and everything sort of snaps into focus all at once when you hear him say, "What do you know of the Necronomicon?" And almost immediately after he says this, you feel this strange sensation, and your body gets pulled backwards through the rift, and you feel like you're falling. You're weightless out of nowhere, you're just falling. Uh, by the time you hit the ground and you realize what's going on, um, you're standing in this area that is all snow. Snow's up to your calf. The wind's blowing so hard you can barely see in front of you.
All right. I'm gonna roll a perception check to see if I can get my bearings and if I can tell what's going on.
From where you're standing at right now, you really can't tell which direction you're facing or anything. You have a pretty good inclination that you are in Shadowfell somewhere, but you've never been to an area of Shadowfell that had such crazy cold weather. Um, Looking around a little bit more on the ground in front of you, you can see that there are tracks leading in a direction.
All right. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Um, I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna drop my bag on the floor, reach into it, pull out a bedroll, and do my best to roll myself up in it, and put my backpack back on and head and follow the tracks.
Okay, so you're using like your bedroll as like a makeshift like poncho, like a winter
Yeah.
poncho. Also, side note, I love that when I turn the screen blue, the reflection from where you're at is blue, like so your camera turned to blue.
Yeah.
um okay, so yeah, so you put this makeshift winter gear on and begin following the tracks. Can I get a survival roll, please? Um, so you're able to find the tracks, and after studying them for a short while, you can discern which way they're actually heading. So you begin following the tracks. Um, as you're trekking through, the tracks look like large humanoid footprints, but not massive, just larger than your own. After following for what feels like hours, uh, you come to this area where there is this incline, and there's like a cove almost in the mountain, and the incline looks like it goes up into this cove.
If there's nothing that looks interesting around me, I'm just gonna keep following them.
No, I mean the snow's still so heavy you can't really see much. You can just make out that there are ice spires and you're in some sort of a mountainous terrain.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna keep following and a little hesitant noticing that the footprints are big though. I'm just gonna he's nervous about what he's following.
As you start following this incline, um, the light coming from the sky above is for about 2 seconds blocked out as if there was a large shadow that flew over you. And after, like I said, about 2 seconds, it's back to being just white. As you continue your way up to the top, um, you notice that the snow starts dissipating slightly and your visibility starts to increase. And by the time you make it to this area where the path that you're on opens up, it's just a light snowfall at this point. And about 200 feet in front of you, um, you see that there is this raven that is about the size of a dragon sitting on the ground with a elven woman standing next to it.
All right, I'm gonna walk up to it and ask the elven lady, "Is the queen calling to me? Is that why I'm here?"
And this elf is taller than you, thin. She has pale white skin and jet black hair, and she is wearing a mask of a raven. And as you ask her that, her voice comes out, but it doesn't sound like it's coming from her. It almost sounds like the voice itself is like disembodied. And goes, Devian, we have been waiting for you. Fate has brought us together. And as she takes off her mask, you see that it's just this beautiful elven woman who does not match the voice that you just heard.
I'm going to take off my makeshift poncho, shove it back in my bag, and before I attempt to mount this raven, I'm gonna get on my knees and like bow to it before I actually try to climb onto it.
As you're like walking towards it, she puts a hand out and stops you. Before I let you proceed, there is something we must discuss. You see, you have failed the Raven Queen.
I'm gonna stay on my knees and talk to her while I'm face down into the snow. Like I know I need to make this right. Is that why she called to me?
You had one simple task to keep Insirion alive. You cannot be trusted with such a simple task. Why should the Raven Queen continue to honor her side of the bargain?
I did everything I could to keep him alive. I pleaded with him to escape while we had the chance. I was powerless against Orcus. Like I couldn't stop Orcus once he arrived.
No, you could not have stopped Orcus, but you could have taken Insirion with you. Why did you not try physically moving him away from harm?
That was my next option when I chased him into the swarm of enemies. But before I had my chance, I was nearly killed myself, and once I came to, it was too late.
She reaches into a pouch on her belt, and you see her pull out these large black cards that have a silver trim on the back of them in a design. And she begins shuffling through the cards face down, pulls one out and looks at it, but you don't get to see what it is. She puts it back. Why should we not kill you?
I can still be of use to you. I'm fully committed in helping the Raven Queen and her plan to get rid of Orcus. That has not changed since this ordeal has started. And now more than ever, there are people gathering on the material plane to confront him too. And I can join them. I can be her eyes on the plane to take him out.
So, if given the second chance, do you pledge your life to succeeding?
If given another chance, I will either kill Orcus or die by his hands trying to. There is no other option at this point.
She shuffles the cards again, picks up another one. I feel there is a test that is required to prove your loyalty to the Raven Queen. And if you pass this test, and only if you pass this test, then we shall consider a second chance.
Devian stands up, and as soon as he finishes standing all the way up, he says, "As soon as I can, I will take this."
You must prove your worth to wield the power that she gives you. She reaches out and she touches your chest, and as you do, you just feel this burning sensation from your core. And she makes a fist and pulls, and as she does, you just see this essence come out of you. And you feel this strange draining of power. And she grabs this essence that she pulled from you, and she slaps her hands down on the deck of cards that she has. And you see these cards glow with this purple, like, energy, this radiant energy that comes out of it. And you feel like your connection with the Raven Queen completely severed. She has effectively removed all of your warlock powers.
Is my Raven still on my shoulder, or did it fly away right after that?
You haven't seen that since you've been here.
Okay. Devian takes a step back. He's like wincing down from what just happened, and he regains himself. Like I said, as soon as I can, I am ready to accept this task.
And as you say that, you hear this shinking of metal from behind you.
He pulls his bow out, turns around real quick to see what's behind him.
And as you do, you see this figure that's probably a good foot taller than you, standing in this plate metal armor of all black, with this thick cloak of raven's feathers, a hood, and a metallic face guard in the shape of a raven's beak. Um, he's carrying in his right hand this very angular, very ornate looking longsword. And in the other hand, he's carrying a census that is in the shape of a skull. And you see that it's wafting out this purple smoke from inside of it.
I'm gonna try to contain myself from fangirling over this guy.
Go ahead and roll initiative.
Roll the dice. Come on. There it goes.
As soon as you see him lift his sword and just begin coming straight for you.
All right.
You cannot use any of your warlock abilities.
Yeah, I figured that. Where is it at then? Where did I put this? Okay. Each square is how long? How much?
5 feet.
Okay.
I feel like I need to have like battle music going right now.
All right. I'm going to run here. Then 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Misty step here.
Okay.
And after I finish moving and teleporting there, I'm gonna snap around, pull out my bow, and shoot this
What the hell
first
is
one, I
that?
guess.
No, they both missed. So,
All right.
why are you doing a strength check?
I just clicked and it's he has to pass it to it missing, I guess.
Oh, you're trying to do ensnaring strike.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So he failed the strength check, I guess, is what it's saying for the first one. So whatever you did hit.
All right, for that.
Just drag the shit out to there. Don't double click on it.
All right. What's his size?
He's medium.
Okay.
So he's only about a foot taller than you. You little short ass.
All right. At the start of each round, he should take 1d6 now.
And there's something
And
you're
that
supposed to cast on
should-
him?
Yeah, that should have been it.
What'd you just do?
Ensnaring strike.
Um, um, where is that at? The fuck is that at?
What happened to my spell list? It shrunk.
Okay, so you have. Why is it like this? That's weird.
There it is. First level spell.
All right, so then you would do you would click on the little icon of the person and drag that onto him, or just drag it into the chat. The one right next to the die. Yeah, there you go. So that'll actually do it. Does it do an effect for you too?
It doesn't look like it. I'm still just targeting him.
Okay. So that was your whole turn, I assume, right?
Yeah, that's just a spell that I could cast.
Okay. So you see these dark blue vines just start poking out of the snow and wrapping around him.
I'm just gonna
And
stare at him, see if any like if it looks like it's holding him right, or if it looks like it's not enough to constrict him.
four, three. So you see him raise his sword up into the air, and as it does, this like almost the same color smoke that was in the census. You see it just briefly waft around his sword, and he takes a single strike at the ground, and and you see his feet just break free of these vines, and then he just starts walking in your general direction.
Am I in range of him?
Oh yeah, you're in melee range of him.
All right. Fuck. Misty stepping there. And using my movement to move there. Then again, I snap back around, ready my bow. Fuck. And that's it.
All right.
Oh my god, it's a 16 and it missed.
Um, he just comes like he turns to you and he kind of cocks his head to the side, and he just comes running with the sword out, and he slashes forward at you with this sword. And you're able to just narrowly dodge backwards of it. And as you do, you see he follows up with this census, and he swings it at your face, and you dodge backwards, and you just see this thing like almost in slow motion going in front of your face, and you get this like whiff of these powerful herbs that make your eyes tear up briefly, um, as if there's some real negative shit in there. Um, and and uh, you dodge past that, and you see him again. He shoves his fist up into the air, and you see the same smoky image over his sword. And he comes down in a striking motion towards you. And as he does, you just see the shadow form over top of you, and you see this giant spectral weapon coming down from the sky. And you roll to the side, and you see it hit the ground, and it just creates a scar in the snow where you were standing at. And as he lifts his hand back up, you see the sword just floating there in this like wispy purple smoke. And it's your turn. Actually, hold on. He shouldn't have got that damage anymore because he's no longer restrained.
Hmm?
All right, go ahead.
All right. After seeing all those attacks, he like leans in forward a little bit, and he says, "All right, I got too much to lose here, man. You're gonna have to stop or die." And
And he just replies back with like a grunt. He doesn't even say anything.
Misty steps to the other side of him. Where is it at? All right, let me see if I remember how to do this. Not there. Is there a way I can?
Probably. Whatever it is you're going to ask.
I gotta see how big this is again. Yeah, I can trap myself in it. 20 foot. Fuck. I cast spike growth in that circle.
All right. And you should be, I think you could do the same effect where it actually has a cast you can cast on him. I could be
lightning
wrong.
bolt?
Let me see. Which one, what level is that? Level
Level
2?
2.
Yeah, so you would do the casting of it to see if it hits. So he did not get whatever you were supposed to do. So you wouldn't do the effect. What's it say on here for the actual terminology of it? Transformation. Creature that could see the area of the spell. Make a wisdom perception check before entering it. All right, so it wouldn't take any damage this time, but its next turn to get out of it, it would have to.
All right.
Yeah, because you Misty step to the side and he looks at you like he follows you almost like he can see where you're going when you step in between realms. And he watches you as you start moving your hands around and motioning, and when you start casting this, he turns and he looks at you, and again he just kind of cocks his head like a confused dog. Um, and you're seeing all of the ground shifting and like becoming jagged, like certain areas of it are lifting up and certain are dropping. And he's looking down as this is happening, and he looks back up to you.
All right. I'm gonna use the rest of my turn to just move away.
All right. He just takes off charging at you. Yeah. Go ahead and do the die icon next to the spike growth. Just do one of those. All right. So he takes off running as the ground shifting underneath him. You see him step up on one of the areas that rises, and he lunges forward, hits the ground, and just charges at you with his sword up in the air.
Is he able to make it to me with the half
Yep.
movement speed inside the circle?
Yep.
All right.
Because he was one step inside there, so that was 10 feet, and you were 20 feet away, so he still had the extra 20 feet to move to you.
All right.
And as he runs at you, with his full body in motion, he just cleaves forward with this sword, and he catches you right across the chest. Um, and as you kind of push forward, wincing from the pain, you get hit in the side of the face with this census, and um, you just again you get that strong smell of these herbs. Um, you failed the first time. I did it twice. Sorry. Um, and as you inhale these, as you inhale the smell of this, your eyes start to water heavily. Your nose starts to just leak, and you could barely see anything in front of you. Your vision is so blurry, and you start to feel lightheaded from whatever this incense is. Um, and as you're where's this fucking thing at? And as you feel this burning sensation, you just feel the impact of this force. Like you can't even really put into words what it feels like, but this force just hits you, and it actually knocks you back a few feet. And through like the squinting of your eyes, you're able to see this giant spectral sword just smash into you.
Well, what is? All right. Disengage. What is that?
Disengage makes it
Is that a
whereas
bonus?
you can move without doing an attack of opportunity, but it's a
Is
full
that a
action.
bonus action or?
Nope, full
That's
action.
all right.
Unless you have the perk to make it a bonus action, which I think only rogues get that.
Yeah, no. All right. Oh, after taking a few steps back, I'm just gonna put my hands together and point them in his direction and cast this at him.
He was able to make that Constitution save.
All right, then. Let's see. Whoops. Take that off.
You weren't supposed to do that. Okay. I think control is that what does it? Yep. Okay.
All right. Is that not working?
What are you trying to do?
Place Hunter's mark on him.
All right.
I got it.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. And that's it.
And um, again, you could barely see anything that's going on between your eyes being blurry and burning and the snow. Um, you could just hear his boots crunching in the snow and the chinging of his armor. Um, as again, you just feel this barrage, and you're you're hearing where he's coming from, and you hear him swipe from one direction, but you feel the blow hit you from another direction, and you hear the chain swinging from the census as you feel it collide into you, and you feel that burn again against your face, but you hold your breath this time instead of inhaling it in. Um, as you hear the wishing sound of the air around you, you're able to roll to the side as you feel the impact of this giant spectral weapon smashing into the snow, just feet away from you. Um, Go ahead and make a Constitution save. Go ahead and roll me a d20, please. um, you're able to regain your bearings, and you're trying to get this stinging pain out of your eye, and you just hear him chinging and coming closer. So you forego uh, your sight for a little while longer and attempt to make the most out of the situation.
All right. Well, with nothing else to do, he just takes a step back, draws his bow, and hopes for the best.
It's a hit. That's a hit too. So you knock two arrows and let them loose, and as you're holding it still, you pause for a second and hold your breath, and you hear the crunching of the snow. So you turn your bow to the side and let them both loose, and you just hear the of metal on metal as you hear the arrow stick in, and you hear him make them out, and then you hear the quickening of his boots, and you feel him just coming towards you. Is that the rest of your turn? You muted and you're talking.
Let's see if I have any bonus actions I can do.
Sure.
Where is it at? Where's that? Nope, that's it.
Okay. So again, you hear the quickening of the boots, and you try to brace yourself. But again, with you not being able to see, you feel the sting of the sword as it hits you. You brace yourself slightly forward, and it cuts across your arm. And as it does, you immediately drop down and roll, and you just hear the sound of this sense flying over your head. You're hearing the chain jingling from it. Um, and you anticipate the next thing that's going to happen is this weapon coming down on top of you. Um, so again, you dodge to the side and you just hear this thing slam into the ground right in front of you. Go ahead and do a Constitution save again.
Uh,
Um, you're trying to just block the pain out, but you're not able to. You just don't have enough time with everything that's going on around you right now to even attempt to wipe your eyes free of this. Um, you just instinctively just do what you can.
hmm. Where the hell is it? Okay. Since I can't really see what I'm doing, he just grabs where he knows his quiver is. He pulls out 4 arrows and he tosses them in the snow, and he casts cordon of arrows as he's doing it.
And he was able to pass that dex save.
Son of a bitch. All right.
Yeah, so as you throw these down, you hear him shift quickly. You just hear kind of like a scraping of his boot through the snow as you hear of your arrow sticking to the ground.
Then I don't think that worked. No, that didn't work. Where's that? I never actually go into my spell list. I have them all saved, but something updated and it makes it.
Oh, don't blame it on the update. Don't blame it on the update.
I'm clicking on these and they're not working.
Just long click and drag them over the chat. It's the easiest way to do it. Make sure you're clicking on just the icon, not the name or anything like that.
Oh, I just clicked on the map for some reason. Yeah, that's not working.
What are you trying to do?
See if that works. All right.
Lenny, you're a warrior? What the hell is that?
Yeah. It's a, what's it called? Horizon Walker thing where I change my damage to force damage.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's it.
All right. So you hear him shuffle away. You hear arrows stick in the snow. The next thing you know, you just hear the sound of metal colliding with wood, and you hear these arrows just snapping. And again, you hear the quickening of footsteps coming towards you. Ooh. So yeah, so you hear the quickening of the steps again. You brace yourself for this strike, and he hits with a backswing and actually hits you from the opposite angle of where you prepared for the blow to be. And as you wince from the pain of that, you just feel the blow of the census hitting you in the side of the head, and for a moment, everything just goes black. You shake your head and you're able to regain focus, but like you're hearing like the murmurs in your ear, like wah, wah, wah. And as you're trying to like gain your bearings on everything, again you just feel this massive force slam down on top of you, actually knocking you to your knee. You stand back up and you're a little bit dazed still. Again, like you can't see very well, and now your hearing's even messed up from this concussive blow to the side of your head. Go ahead and give me a Constitution save, please. You stand there for a moment, gaining your bearings, and as your hearing starts to come back to, you stand perfectly still and hold your breath, and you don't hear the footsteps. So you take the opportunity to grab a handful of snow and you wipe your eyes out with it. And as you do, you see this figure just standing there at ready, almost taunting you. He's pointing his sword at you and he's holding his census at ready. And as he realizes that you notice him, he picks the blade up and stands in an attack stance.
Devian just looks defeated. He looks up at the night, like lets out a sigh, Like, how does this help the Raven Queen? If I die, she loses someone. If you die, she loses someone. And hesitantly, he pulls up his bow again.
And as you shoot the first arrow, he just completely parries the arrow with his sword. And when he does, he leaves his chest completely exposed for the second one that flies through and hits him square in the chest. As it hits him, you hear him just. Ugh.
And that's it.
Um, you're seeing him looking at you, and he looks down at his chest, and he snaps the arrow off that's stuck in his chest, and he pulls back his hood and he takes off his mask, and you just see this gaunt old elf, probably like in his multiple hundreds of years. Like, he looks far older than how spry he is fighting, and he pulls the top off of the incense and puts it up to his face, and he just huffs in this incense. Um, and as he does, his eyes roll back, and all you see is the white of his eyes, and you see his face just begin to fill out, and you're seeing him appear to look younger and younger as he does. And he throws down the census and he grips the longsword with both hands. And he just kind of looks at you and smiles.
He still looks
Ah.
hesitant. He sighs again.
Hold on one sec.
For your age, I know you are.
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. He lets out a sigh and, like, hesitantly lowers his bow a little bit. With your age, I shouldn't be fighting you. If the Raven Queen loses a age devoted follower like you, it's gonna be devastating. And he readies his bow again. And that's it.
And as you say that, he starts walking towards you, very determined, with his sword in both hands, just holding it up like this. And the first arrow hits him in the shoulder, and as it does, you're looking at him, and his face doesn't even flinch, and he just keeps walking towards you. And as the second one comes, he strikes down with his sword and cuts it midair. He lifts his sword over his head, and he just makes a charge straight towards you. And he cleaves down at you, and you dodge to the side, and as he does, almost with a baseball swing, he swings and hits you, and you dodge back slightly, but it still catches you, and it cuts from your left shoulder across half your chest. And as it does, you start to feel just colder than you were. Like, the cold is now setting in at your core. Um, and again, this elf doesn't say a thing. He doesn't make a noise as he does this.
He drops his bow, and with his other hand, he pulls it out. Like he raises his hand facing the knight and cast frostbite. Um,
Doesn't it? Doesn't so most of these spells should have like a damage if they succeed and if they fail. Are these just like saying like if he passes, there's nothing?
on a failed save, target takes 1d6 cold damage and has disadvantage on the next weapon attack roll.
And it doesn't say anything for on a successful save.
No, it doesn't say anything about a
Okay, then it just doesn't do anything.
success.
Because sometimes it'll actually say like they take X amount of damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. That's why I was just trying to make sure that.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything like that.
Okay. Do you have any bonus moves or anything like that you want to do?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. And he's just kind of looking at you and seeing you moving a little bit more sluggishly. And he he looks you like in the eyes and he begins to laugh. And no sound really coming out. You're just hearing like a and as you watch him doing this, you can see that he has no tongue. And the last thing you see is him laughing and then just charging with the sword, and you see him swipe, and everything goes black. Oh, that was a short session. See you guys next week. No, so so um, almost like a bad dream. Uh, you wake up. You're and as you look around, you're inside of this room that you've never seen before, with these gray, dingy, giant brick walls. You're laying on a crude bed that's very hard with some sort of a black animal pelt on top of it. And there are 7 people standing around you, all wearing raven masks, just staring at you.
I'm not restrained or anything, am I?
You're not.
Do I have my equipment?
Um, as you check, you feel that you don't. Um, and furthermore, you are laying there butt ass naked.
As he wakes up, he would quickly jump to his feet and like reach for his bow, but it's not there, so he's like frozen, just looking around at everything.
And as you stand up, you feel real woozy and lightheaded. Um, and you hear all these people speaking um, in this language that sounds very familiar to you, yet you don't understand any of it. And one of them comes forward, and you hear a feminine voice. Um, you must lay down, regain your strength.
I put myself on the bed, but I'm sitting up, staring at them, like tense and on edge. I look over to the one that came to me. Where am I? Did I fail the challenge? If I did, why am I alive?
The queen still has use of you. As you were
Let
told
out a sigh.
before, it was fate that brought you here. And fate has it that you will not die. Not here.
He lets out a sigh and he like just falls back, almost lifeless. And he like rolls his head to look at her. When will I be of use to her again?
Soon. You will find out soon. And as she says that, everybody almost in unison turns around and they begin funneling out this door. And you're left in this room by yourself at this moment.
He raises his hand and looks at it and tries to conjure some kind of eldritch fire in his hand to see if he still has lost his warlock powers.
As you do, you see this brief flicker of purple smoke come out.
He smiles, he lays his head back and tries to relax the best he can.
And as you do, you feel something cold underneath the back of your head. And when you reach to pull it out, it's one of those giant cards, black cards with the silver design on the back of it, face down, almost tucked like halfway under the pillow.
If I pull it out and look at it, do I know what it means?
I don't know. Do you want to pull it out and look at it?
Yes.
Roll me a d20.
I don't think that was a roll.
As you pick it up, you notice that it is a tarot card. And you're holding it upside down. And as you flip it right side up and look at it, you see that in uh, in Elven at the bottom, the word judgment is written across it, and it shows this like being that looks almost like what you would know as like one of the Celestials, like an angel, playing like a trumpet, and it shows a body, and the outline of the body looks very similar to you, um, on their knees inside of a coffin, reaching out towards the angel. Go ahead and give me an insight check.
Ooh.
Uh, you would know. You don't know how you know this, um, but you would know that this sort of a tarot card could either mean like a rebirth, um, or some sort of like self-examination.
He chuckles. Like this suits me oddly well. Then like his hand goes limp off the bed as he's holding the card, and he just lets out a groan as he's laying there.
Um, you sort of drift back off to sleep and come to periodically you wake up and uh, after some undetermined amount of time, you can't really tell how long you've been gone. Um, you wake up, and as you sit up, you sort of feel like your old self. You feel your strength is back.
I'm gonna look around the room to see if any of my gear is here.
Sure, give me a perception check.
Ah, this is gonna hurt. All right.
You got
I
a
don't got
plus
my
9 in it. What the fuck do you mean this is gonna hurt?
I don't got my modifier from a raven anymore. Usually I have a
Um,
plus 13.
seriously?
Yeah.
Jesus. Um, yeah. So as you look around, you see that the room is in like a spherical shape. You notice that on one side of the room there is a fireplace that is not lit, and judging from the way it looks, it hasn't been lit in some time. Um, Next to it, you see that there is a small, like waist high bookshelf with visible dust on the top of it. To the right of where you're sitting at, you see that there is a um, table, and again, it has visible dust on it. One of the chairs is pulled out, and you can see your satchel of equipment sitting there with your bow standing on the ground, leaning against the chair.
All right, I'm gonna make my way over there and put back on all my equipment.
All right, and yeah, you do that no problem. Um, as you're walking around, like I said, you start to feel like your old self again. Like you feel your strength. You don't feel woozy or lightheaded or anything anymore.
Um, you didn't say if there was a door, did you? Or I'm
There
just seeing
is a
that when I was
door.
laying.
Uh, Directly in front of the bed on the opposite side of the room. There's a door. That's where the 7 people in masks funneled out.
I'm gonna make my way over to the door and like lightly try to open it, see if it's locked or anything.
Nope, not locked at all.
All right, if it's not locked, then I'm not gonna try to be stealthy about it. I'm gonna open the door and go into the hallway, stand there and look around.
Yeah, and as you're looking around, you're in what appears to be a castle, um, but it's dark. You see that there are like torches on the wall, but they're extinguished. Um, all you can really make out is at the far end of the hall, there's doors that you would have to pass, and on your left hand side, it looks like a split in the hallway. But all the way at the other end, straight in front of you, you see that there is a single candle burning in what appears to be another room.
I'm gonna stare at the doorway for a little bit and bow my head and kind of meditate while I'm standing there, seeing if I can get any kind of information from the Raven Queen, or if anyone can go into my head and see if I get like any kind of clue on where I'm supposed to be right now.
No, you don't hear anything. Um, Even in the hallway, you don't really hear anything. It's oddly quiet.
After meditating for a few minutes, he lets out a sigh, and I guess I'll go to the light and walk towards the candle.
All right. And as you walk to the end of this hallway, you see that the room that you're in sort of opens up into a bigger, what appears to be like a mess hall or some sort of eating area with high cathedral ceilings in it that appear to be 2 or 3 stories tall. Um, Looking down the way, you see that there's a few other candles that are lit up, um, almost guiding you towards this direction. And at the very end of it, there is a large door, maybe 15 feet tall, 12 feet wide, um, that is slightly opened.
Any food in the mess hall?
Give your perception. Um, you had the same perception roll twice in a row. That's funny. Um, as you sort of look around in the different areas, um, you notice that the mess hall appears to have been unused for some time. Um, Most of the tables are covered in dust. Um, the only area that appears to be relatively dust free is the middle passage that leads all the way from the one side where you were at to the doorway. But as you search through some of uh, the sacks and barrels that are there, you do find a couple of um, pieces of like bread that are almost petrified, hard as a rock. Um, you find a inside of one of the barrels um, a slice of a honeycomb, and the honey is still fresh in it. Well, not fresh, but honey is still gooey and honey like. Um, but other than that, there's really no food or anything that you see.
He takes a handful of the bread, he examines it, like bangs it against the wall. He just sighs and tosses it back into the barrel. He goes over to the honey, gets like one handful and scoops it up into his mouth. And he walks off towards the hallway with the candle, just rubbing his stomach and thinking, like, "Oh, I should have ate more at the Mage's Guild."
So which way
And
are you
just
walking inside there?
one that's like been used. There's no dust, and there's a candle at the end of the hall with a cracked open door.
Oh, okay, so you're going to the big door at the end.
Yeah.
Um, as you open it up, um, it leads to uh, this large foyer. Um, to your right, you can see a very, very large door, 20 feet tall, 15 feet or so wide. Um, this room actually has lights into it. You see to your left that there is a staircase that goes up. And then on the other side of the room, there's another large door like the size of the one that you're in, uh, making it like a four-way passage.
Um, look at the floor, see if there's any path that's dust free.
This whole area appears to be dust-free. This area looks a lot more lived in than where you were previously at.
As I walk into this area, I'm going to close the door behind me and like bang on the door behind me to see if I could get a reaction or someone pop out of any of these pathways.
So you slam the door behind you and just wait for a second, and you can hear the sound echo throughout. Um, and you hear no response. But standing there, you hear that there is some sound, some sort of semblance of movement coming from the large door to your right.
I'm gonna head that way, and as soon as I get to the door, just push it open. Not trying to be stealthy about it or anything.
Well, this one it actually pulls open. Um,
Okay, then yeah.
and as you pull it open, you see that you are standing at the top of this large, sprawling staircase, and you are overlooking this city. And it's hard to determine what time of day it is. You don't see any sun in the sky. You don't see any moon or any stars. Um, it's just this like twilight state of like a desaturated hue that's just beaming down. Um, it's dark yet light enough that you can see uh, quite a good ways. Um, but the city just opens up and there's buildings, and it almost looks like it's built on like a hill where everything is kind of swirling down. Um, as you look off into the distance, you can see that there are mountainous areas, snow-capped peaks, and it's lightly snowing outside.
Seeing the city, he feels a lot more relaxed and kind of halfway smiles. He looks up and he just takes it all in. He's going to walk a few feet down the staircase. He's going to turn around and look at the castle that he just walked out of. Does he notice anything?
Oh, I mean, as you look at it, you see that this castle it's massive. Um, and again, the whole thing is made out of these giant, just pure gray, almost boulders of brick. It looks very archaic, and the door itself is old and weathered. Through any of the windows that you can see, there doesn't appear to be any life or any light coming out from there. The only area that really looks like it has any light is that main area that you just came out of.
He walks back over to the door, opens it, and yells out, "Is there something I need to finish in here?" And see if he can get any kind of response.
You yell and you just hear your own echo ring back out towards you. Um, there's no response.
He kind of slams the door, waits a few seconds to see if anyone comes to that, and walks down the staircase.
Yeah, no one comes to the door after you slam it. Um, as you're walking down the staircase, you can see that there is life in the city, though. Um, you see people walking around, and you see that there uh, seems to be a pretty decent amount of people out there. And as you get to the bottom of the staircase and fully descend, you notice that everybody that you see in the town has a raven's mask on.
Before he walks into the city, he's gonna drop to his knees again and like bow to the city before entering it. And are there any like guards or authority figures at the path to the castle?
Not that you can discern. There's no one like just standing there guard. Um, and everybody that you see moving around looks the same. Like they have some different clothes and whatnot on, but you can't tell the difference between any of them because of this raven mask.
He's gonna start walking to what he assumes to be the center of the city.
And as you're walking down the street, you notice that almost everybody you pass like stops and just looks at you.
He's gonna look back, and every time someone stops and stares at him, he's gonna look back at him and stop and like see if they have anything to tell him. If not, then he's just gonna keep walking.
As you keep walking, you notice that the way that the city is laid out is it's almost like the castle's up top, and the city kind of winds around in like a backward C. But there's like one main path carved through the middle of it with buildings on either side. Um, and it just kind of winds around down this mountain.
Until he gets to the end of the city, he's just gonna, I guess, walk as fast as he can, since he's not making any progress in the actual city.
Yeah, I mean, as you're moving, like I said, everybody that you pass by seems to stop and stare. Um, and as you get towards the end of the city and see like the last few buildings off in the distance, if you look over your shoulder, everybody is just standing there, and you have almost a single file line of people that are all turned looking at you.
He turns around and looks at the people, and he asks, "Is there anything else I'm needed for here?" And he waits for a response.
And almost in unison, they all just lift their hands up and point like behind you. Like you just see like this wave of hands just all start coming up in unison and pointing at the same time.
Before he walks off, he does the bow again, and after a few minutes, he gets up and walks off out of the city.
Well, as you turn around, you see the same woman that you were speaking with before standing in the middle of the road, like right at the end of where the buildings are in the city.
I'm gonna walk up to her and ask, "Why am I not dead?"
As I said before, fate kept you alive. There is a greater purpose for you to be here. It is not the time for your death.
He stops and thinks about that for a second. "Can you point me in the direction I need to go now?"
Well, you are no longer needed here. You are needed back on the material plane. But there is a task that the Raven Queen demands of you.
As she finishes saying that I need to go back to the material world, he like holds out his hand and tries to conjure some eldritch fire again to see if he's regained any of his warlock strength. And when she finishes talking, he says, "What is my new task?"
As you know, Orcus is growing stronger. Orcus's main plan is to overthrow the Raven Queen so he can claim domain over the souls. If that ever were to happen, Orcus would have access to an unlimited amount of souls that he would use to build an army or to power himself. Nothing irritates the Raven Queen more than souls not making it to their destination. this would be the ultimate hindrance of souls being able to make it to their final spot.
Raven looks down, or Devian looks down and thinks about what she's saying, and he looks back up at her, like, I'll either kill him or stop him from ever leaving his realm. He's not getting to the Raven Queen.
Don't be foolish, boy. You have no chance of destroying Orcus. Even though you do have the blood of the Shatterkai running through your veins, you are not nearly powerful enough to battle a demon lord. Neither are your friends. What do you propose you would do who would be able to stop him?
My friends seem to think that a front full attack would be the option to stop him. But lately they've been gathering numbers. And I don't think numbers are the right option either. But within those numbers, I'm going to seek out someone. I'm going to keep seeking knowledge and see if there's any way to hinder his plan or to weaken him even. We Shatterkai have time on our side. We can keep gathering knowledge until it's the right time. Even if
Unfortunately,
the Raven Queen needs me.
go ahead.
Even if the Raven Queen needs me for a detrimental amount of time, I'm willing to give that to her.
Unfortunately, time is working against us. With Orcus now in possession of his wand, his first matter of business will be freeing himself of the bindings from the abyss. With this, he will bring armies upon armies of undead to the material plane for the sheer purpose of death. With the influx of death, it's going to wane on the powers of the Raven Queen, as she will be forced to focus on getting all the souls to their final place. He will use this distraction to make a push on Shadowfell. And I'm not sure that with all of the Ebengard, Blackwings, or Sorrowsworn, we would be able to take on a full-fledged attack from Orcus's armies.
Is there anyone from the Shatterkai that has any kind of information that would help me in binding him to his plane or even weakening him?
The cards have already been pulled. Fate has shown me that Orcus will return to the material plane. And only then will we have a chance at sending him back. It won't stop him completely, but it should give us a millennia of time to come up with a more permanent plan. With that being
Just tell me
said,
what I need to do.
What I need you to do is to take what little power Orcus has on the material plane and weaken it. That should buy us just enough time to finish what we need to do to be ready for him.
His followers.
Followers. We will use his own tactics against him. What I need you to do is I need you to reunite with your friends. Follow them. Help them secure the Necronomicon. And once you have it, I need you to take it from them and bring it back to me.
If that is what you wish, you know I will accept.
Once we have the Necronomicon, we will be able to use the undead to strengthen our own numbers. This is a crucial step in Orcus's plan, as he's already unleashed the Ashen Covenant. Your friend, he has a very powerful ally in the Jackal. He will no doubt want to use this book for his own power. By taking this, you may make him an enemy of not only yourself, but your friends.
If the Jackal gets this, he's only using it for himself. If we get it, we're using it for everybody. So
I agree.
no matter the consequences, I'm taking it. Whether I have to do it by force or if they're willing.
And you know what you must do. If you cannot secure the Necronomicon, consider yourself an enemy of the Shatterkai. There is no room for failure.
He gets on one knee and bows down to her. As a descendant of the Shatterkai, I will either get this or die in the process. I will not live to be an enemy of you.
Very well. Now, what do you need from the Raven Queen to aid you in your journey?
He stands back up and stares into the ground. I know the chance is low, but one of my friends requests an audience with the Raven Queen or one of her messengers, and he holds out his bow and looks down at his gear. And I made this stuff while I was in the woods. Is there any way I can get something better?
Well, you are an official ambassador for the Raven Queen. So any questions he has, he can direct them to you. The Raven Queen does not meet with anyone. As far as the weapons and the armor, I feel that that is something that we could do. And she just begins walking back up towards where the castle was at.
He's gonna follow her and kind of hesitantly put his bow back onto his back.
And as you turn around and start walking back up, you see that everybody is back to like minding their own business. No one's even looking in your guys' direction at this point. You make it back up to the castle, and as you go in, um, she keeps walking straight up the stairs. The stairs kind of arch around like a wishbone and convene in the middle. Um, and she goes through this straight passage, and she opens up this door, and you enter this room that is it's 200 feet wide, hundreds of feet long, littered with treasures. There's gold, there's books. You see that there's these magical artifacts. Um, Pretty much any form of treasure that you could think of, you see is there. As Devian is looking around, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Do I have my raven?
Do you have to like cast it or anything?
To bring my raven back?
Yeah, you would have to. Isn't that your familiar?
It's not a familiar. It's like it's different because like let me see.
Yeah, what's it called? Do you know?
It's not in like anything that you would have on what's this called again? Fantasy Grounds.
Isn't it part of Xanathar's Guide?
No, it's not. It's the Anarth something.
The Unearthed Arcana?
Yeah.
What class is this?
Raven Queen. It just said like everything I wrote down is you could call it back after a short rest. I'm not sure if it needs a time or anything. That should be the first thing I get for choosing the Raven Queen as my covenant.
For the patron, right?
Yeah.
Um, All right. You gain the service of a spirit sent by the Raven Queen to watch over you. Spirit assumes the form and gains statistics of a raven and always obeys your command, which you can give it telepathically. While the raven is perched on your shoulder, you gain dark vision with a range of 30 feet and bonus to your passive wisdom score for perception. Oh yeah, it just says at the end of a short or long rest, you can call the raven back to you no matter where it is, whether it died, and it reappears within 5 feet of you. So yeah, so I mean, as the door to this giant treasure room is shutting, you just hear the flapping of wings of this bird perches on your shoulder.
Devian just has the biggest smile on his face as he's like rubbing his raven. And you wanted a perception check?
Yep. um. So As Devian's looking around the room, there are three pieces of equipment that catch his eye that upon seeing them, he just knows he has to have. What are they?
The first most would be a bow above anything else.
What's it look like?
Um, Solid black. The main part of the bow looks like an ordinary bow, just a long wooden black like bow that has a gray holster in the middle for your hand. But coming out from the hand are two long spikes pointing towards where he's shooting.
All right. Any other like qualities of this that you see that like why it caught your eye?
Um, it's smoking, like it has a black fog around it.
What else do you see?
Devian right now has a single shoulder pad on his shoulder where he keeps his raven, and he spots almost an identical one, but this one has a shine to it that draws his attention.
Okay. And as you pick it up, like what do you feel from it?
It feels light and he feels faster.
And what's the third thing that catches your eye?
The third thing would be one of the raven masks that everyone else is wearing.
But this one, it stands out amongst the rest of them. It looks different. What's different about this one?
The normal raven masks have the raven, but you can see the person underneath. This one has jet black, almost like when you look behind the mask, it's disappearing. Anything that goes behind the mask, it's hard to tell what it is.
You mean like through the mask, like, or like
Right,
literally
like you
behind
can't
it?
see behind it.
And what type of material would you say it's made out of?
It feels, by holding it, like it's wooden, but when he looks further, like at the quality, it's almost obsidian. Like it has a shine, like it's stone.
And after you grab everything, um, and you start to put it on, you take your old shoulder pad off and put the new one on, and you just feel this energy surge through you. You put the mask on, and you feel even more with it, and then you pick up the bow, and the bow is like remarkably light. Like it feels almost like there's nothing there. Um, And as you draw the string back, you see that the string actually like hums with like a purple glow. And as you ease off of it, it just returns back to being solid black. So the
Devian gets
bow.
the mask.
Go ahead. What?
What? Devian gets the mask. He like moves it to the top of his head. He holsters the bow, and he like looks at the lady that was following him, or he was following,
Mm-hmm.
and he just says, "I'm ready with this."
And she kind of smiles and she looks at you. Those are excellent choices. That bow was formed from the remnants of a Trent that was grown with the blood of a demon lord. This Trent became blackened from the evil seeping through its core as it ravaged nations with every person that it killed. It consumed the blood and grew stronger and stronger. It was finally slain by a group of Shadar-kai, the first of the Sorrow Sworn, and the Raven Queen had this bow commissioned out of the remnants of this Trent. She named it the Resonant Bow of Slaughter. Game mechanic
As she's
wise.
telling him,
Go ahead.
as she's telling him that, he's like rubbing the string from the bow up and down.
So game mechanic wise, what you can do with this bow is you can spend an action point in combat to increase the damage of the bow by 1 for 1 minute or 10 rounds. Also, um, anytime you kill a creature with this weapon, you may use an additional bonus action, regardless if you've already used your bonus action that round, to move half of your movement speed towards another creature. And I'll actually I'll make the item in Fantasy Ground too. And then she points over to your shoulder pad. That shoulder pad was created by a great wizard. This wizard would use that shoulder pad to infiltrate and gain knowledge against his enemy without actually using force. The material itself is said to be made from the skin of a mimic, and thusly it has the ability that once it's attuned with your soul to change shape into anything that you want it to be so long as it's still touching your body. While wearing this, it also has the ability for you to learn languages spoken around you. This is made with old magic. And thusly, once the magic dissipates from this, there's no way for it to be duplicated. Game mechanic wise, you can change the appearance of your shoulder pad. You can make minor changes to it. So you could make it look slightly different. You can make it like grow spikes protrude from it. You could make it cover like your whole arm. You can't make it do anything crazy like grow 10 feet tall or anything like that.
So, can I put like effects on it? Like if I wanted to catch fire?
Yeah, but it would be similar to like thaumaturgy. Like it wouldn't actually do anything.
Okay. Yeah.
But you could definitely make it look like it has like some sort of a glow to it, like it's on fire, it's radiating, light, a dim light. Um, and it also has. Go ahead and roll me a d4. It has 3 charges of comprehend language. These cannot be recharged. But what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to permanently learn 3 languages. It has to be a language that you don't know. It has to be spoken around you when you use it. And when you do, just let me know, and I will. That'll be permanently something you know how to comprehend at that point. And it will lose one of its charges. And as far as the mask goes, what is something that you would like this mask to be able to do? Did I stump you? Oh no, I lost you. No! Sin, come back! See, that's what happens when you give someone too much power, then all of a sudden they're like, I don't know what to do with all this power. I'm stumped. Ding dong. Sin's back.
Okay, it's back. It's good.
Did they break it?
It shut down for a second.
Well, yeah, I seen that you actually like left.
Okay, everything's working again. I was like, got my items back.
I see that, yeah. But did you hear what I said?
Last thing was the 3 charges, and to tell you when you can remove a charge.
Yep, and then you'll permanently learn that language.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing, as far as the Raven mask goes, what is one thing you would like this mask to be able to do? Giving you a lot of power here, so make sure you think this through.
Like, do you want something mechanically, or do you want something like that might be able to be translated mechanically?
Your call.
I want to be able to see enemies' weak spots with this.
Okay, so like to almost be able to hone in on like if they have any injuries or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um she's sort of looking at the mask longingly almost. And she kind of chuckles and she's like, "This mask was worn by the Raven Queen's second in command into battle when she claimed the Winter Domain. This mask has had the blood of gods spilled upon it, and thusly it has inherited some of the abilities from that god. This is a very powerful and very dangerous artifact. Make sure you guard it with your life, as others may covet such a rarity. When peering through the eyes of this mask, you will be able to see the vulnerability of any target. You will also be able to use the power of the mask to move things and to cast things that you normally wouldn't be able to. When you feel the power from this mask surge through you, do as it says. Do as you feel to do with this mask, as it is intertwined with fate itself.
Devian's gonna put the mask on backwards, put his hood up to like hide it, and say if anything were to happen to me, this mask will be sent back to this realm with my dying breath.
So, what this mask has the ability to do is one, as an action, you can see the weakness of any target once per day. It also will allow you to cast Mage Hand once per day. And basically, at sundown is when both of those abilities come back.
So it's not like a long rest thing.
Nope, that's sundown. And as you put the mask on, um, you feel yourself almost becoming one with it. And it whispers its name to you. What is the name of this mask?
The Queen's Sight.
And doop doop doop. This is everything that you should need to start bringing things back into alignment. I want you to take these. She hands you the stack of tarot cards. These cards were created from fate. Anyone that has the ability to read these will be able to guide you if you ever find yourself not knowing which way to go.
Using the shoulder pad, he creates a pocket underneath it in between the shoulder pad and his shoulder, and he puts the cards right there.
Is there anything else that you wish to know before you are sent off on your task?
After I reclaim the artifact for the Raven Queen, am I going to be pulled back, or do I need to come back to the Shadowfell on my own?
Once you have it, you will need to come here yourself.
And as for my friend, his question was if we or the Raven Queen would have the ability to retrieve his brother's soul from Orcus. I know it's really improbable, but I feel obligated to ask.
If Orcus claimed his soul, then it has already been consumed. He uses the souls to charge his power. With your friend's brother, that was a very special case for him, as he was direct blood of Orcus. If I had to guess, I would assume that Orcus is using him for a greater purpose in the abyss. But he is not the same. His soul has been consumed. He is but a husk, forced to do the bidding of Orcus. Tell your friend that
Right.
he would not like what he sees.
Yeah, I thought that's would be what happened. Okay, I'm ready.
You have no other questions?
No, is there actually besides
No take backs.
these
You said no. No.
besides these items, is there should I be expecting any more help from the Shatter Kai or the Raven Queen on the material plane?
Not until it is time. a Shadowkai cannot freely travel between Shadowfell and the material plane as you do. As you've seen here, they show their true age. On the material plane, they must harness the power of the Raven Queen's collected souls to grant them the strength and vitality of their younger, more able days. For the Raven Queen to send any number of these through, it costs a great deal. And unless the moment is ripe for her to strike for a certain victory, she will not come herself. There is far too much at risk. She miscalculates a step. The balance of souls from Mount Celestial down to the bottom of the pits, the abyss, would be thrown off, and Orcus could very well achieve godhood. So take those gifts that you have and expect no additional help.
All right, I think I can do this. He gathers up all his stuff and starts heading towards the exit.
And you just hear like this sound of like flapping wings. And as you look over your shoulder, she's gone.
He like smirks. He turns back around and keeps heading to the exit. And he just thinks to himself, so is that what it feels like when I do it?
So you head your way back down the stairs into the main foyer, out the giant double doors, back down the stairs into the city. And as you're walking through the city, are you wearing the mask or is it still on backwards?
It's still on backwards.
As you're walking by, this time nobody's paying any attention to you being there at all. They're all just going on with their lives. People are crossing in front of you. The main thoroughway is now fully populated. And again, you see everybody is wearing the masks. They all have very modest clothing on, most of it in grays and blacks. As you make your way all the way out of the city, you find yourself standing in this snow-capped plain, and off in the distance, nothing but snow. This is unlike any area of the Shadowfell that you've ever seen.
Okay. Bathroom break. I really need to go to the bathroom.
Yep. So while he does that, let me go ahead and add some of these items into the game here. Everybody that's here, I appreciate you guys sticking with us here. This is an interesting little thing to have, like a one-on-one session. I'm not used to it at all. Normally when we're playing this, we have 5-6 people that are all going. But to be able to tailor something specifically to one person is kind of a unique thing. I dig it, though. And remember, if you guys want to at any time, you can always interact by using your Cliff coins. Like I said, anybody that's retweeting this or anything, that's going to help too. What are we up to? I haven't even had a chance to look. This is a lot more attention driven um, than than doing like a full session. Like there's no time to really do anything outside of it. It's like you have to get full attention on it. So we are at 4 retweets needed for a community event and 5 followers still. Do, 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 do. We get to do the fun manual stuff. What you making? Yeah, to take a bathroom break. What? Did you respond? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. Put that back in. Okay. Um. Yeah. So you walk to the edge of the city. Like I said, as you're looking out, you're just seeing just the sprawling winterland, with mountainous peaks off in the distance.
All right, I'm gonna turn around, look back at the city, and just take it all in before I head back to the material plane.
As you turn around, you see the same lady standing there, this time with the mask on. And she reaches out and she touches you on the forehead. And as she does, you blink and you see that you're standing inside of the Mages Guild back in Durian. And you're looking around and you see Vakta. You see all the people standing in the main library area. And you're watching Vardrak walk off into a back room, back by where the guy was enchanting his armor.
Any of them notice me?
No one seems to be paying attention right now.
And the jackal is gone.
There's no sign of him now.
He takes a minute to get his bearings and kind of sneaks off to the main entrance and walks out into Durian.
As you walk out there, what is your intent?
Gain knowledge. Seeing if I can go to any of the people that seem to be worshipping Behemoth. And seeing if they have any clue on what to do about Orcus, I guess. Or
So you
seeing
plan
if
on
they're
like
just
going to
some
the
random
temple?
follower. Yeah.
Um. So you start walking off towards the temple. Give me an insight check. Do you know your way around the city well enough to know where the temple is? I think you do.
I've been there a few times. My snake was like snake and ravens were kind of my way around.
Hmm. Yeah, do a what's your bonus when you use your Raven?
+4.
Going 11. Yeah, you know your way, the general direction from where you are to there. Let me see real quick. You are. So this is where you're at. Which way are you taking? You taking like a direct path straight there, or
Mm, kind of a direct path. I'm gonna head this way, but take a left instead of taking a right to look around the town more.
and are you doing this like quickly, or are you just taking everything in? Like, what's your demeanor?
Um, I have no rush, seeing how the other people of the party were didn't seem to be like in a hurry or anything. So I'm just walking around, not really hurrying.
Um, the bonus you have on perception with the Raven, is that specifically for sight, or is it just in general?
Um, the bonus is with what does it say that? Oh, visual. It's a wisdom +4, perception +4, and that's it really.
I mean, it doesn't say like specifically for anything.
No.
Let me see here. Go ahead and give me a perception check. As you're walking, um, you make it to about here. When you hear this loud explosion come from back behind the way you came.
He's gonna head back to see if it was at the Mages Guild.
And as you're running back up there, you see that the front door of the Mages Guild has been blown completely off. There's smoke and debris, and you're hearing the sound of just energy crashing about.
So I'm guessing she sent me back in time. Or did I go back because the Shadowfell is back? And he's trying to figure out why this is happening again. Um, he's gonna assume that he just went backwards in time from being in the Shadowfell and continue on doing what he was originally planning on doing.
You're not like going into the Mage Guild or anything.
He's gonna stand there for a few seconds, but if it like seems to be what he experienced at the beginning, then he's gonna keep going.
I mean, you're hearing magical energy crashing, and then you just hear it stop.
He just thinks to himself, um, pretty sure the Jackal just froze time. And he looks around to see if everything is frozen or if the Jackal was just able to freeze in the Mages Guild.
I mean, when looking around, you're still seeing people moving about. You see that people have come out of their homes and the businesses around you, and they're like looking towards the direction of the Mages Guild to see where that noise came from.
He's gonna grab a rock and throw it in the direction of the Mages Guild. To see if when it like freezes in midair. If it does,
I mean, it just skips across, like hits the cement and just skids.
I thought for sure that would have got frozen. And he walks towards the Mages Guild.
As you walk into it, you see this figure standing there with his back facing you. You see Vardrak standing in front of him, and you see inside there's just destruction, just in a complete state of suspended animation. How close are you at this point?
Being able to see Vardrak, I'm assuming I'm right here, like around the corner from the entrance.
So you haven't like started going up the stairs or anything to get to it?
No.
Okay.
He's gonna grab another rock and like toss it into the building to see if it freezes.
Go ahead and give me a Constitution save.
Oh.
You feel your body just go completely stiff as some unseen force grabs you and pulls you into the building. Like you're just snapped into the building, and before you know it, you're on your knees with your head bent, standing in front of this figure that you now know to be the Jackal. And he looks over to Vardrak and he says, "Is this someone you know?" He's like, "Yeah. He's one of us. He's a friend." And you feel this pressure just ease up, and you gain control of your body again. The Jackal continues. "And I'm gonna need you to find something for me." He looks down at you, and he kind of shifts his head a little bit. He pauses. "What do you all know of the Necronomicon?" And that's where we're going to end it at. Oh, thank you.
I'm alive.
You're alive.
I like that. I'm alive.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't prepare 4 hours worth on this.
No, I didn't expect to go this far either. Like I thought it was gonna be an hour or two, and I'd either be back here or I'd be dead.
And both happened. Yeah, so thanks for taking the time to do this. I know that you're in a situation where this isn't just something you could do whenever, so I mean, thanks for carving out time to do this.
Yeah, like I said, like no matter what, I'm gonna find an area or a way to be able to make it every Thursday.
Next week we're gonna see Sid sitting there like in the light of his neighbor's window, hijacking his Wi-Fi, just on his cell phone. see the cell phone moving around and see him duck down in a bush every now and again.
Well,
So
now even if I don't got my place set up, I have a spot to come and set up on Thursdays.
that's good. So next week, everybody should be back. Hopefully Melissa has her headphone situation figured out. Hopefully Alex has her Ethernet to USB adapter, so that way she's not running off of crazy Wi-Fi, especially with all the smoke and shit going on with the fires in that area. And we should have a full party here. And I think things are gonna get interesting. How'd
I feel
you?
like I'm gonna have to kill somebody, one of the party, if it comes down to it.
I mean, that's up to you. I don't know. Um, how'd you like your first one-on-one session?
That fucking Evan Knight. I'm like, this guy needs to get out my face because I can't do shit with him in my face. Yeah, I like being able to just show off Devian's where he's at and like where he comes from a lot
Yeah,
more than I am with other people.
yeah. I mean, from a DM standpoint, this is so much harder than a regular session. Cause like,
Everything's going by so fast. Like normally, like everyone would put in their input on each area we stop at.
yeah. So it goes by quicker. There's no back and forth communication on decision making or anything. It's just kind of like you. But then like from running it standpoint, it's like everything has to have a reason and a purpose, and it has to lead somewhere. Otherwise, like there's no point in even bringing it up, you know? So
Yeah.
like everything had to be like, this is one of the few sessions that I could say I actually had kind of like a sketched out idea of what to do. And it was pretty easy to follow without forcing you to do anything. Um, but still have some sort of a semblance of shit. But yeah. So thank you again. Thanks to everybody that stopped by here. Shit. Well, 10:39. I don't know what I should do now. Like normally, like my time's carved out till midnight, and it's not even 11 yet.
Just World of Warcraft.
Probably do that. Might just call it early though. You're not able to play or anything, are you?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be here for a while.
Oh well, I mean, if you don't mind, if you want to switch over to some WoW, we could do that.
Okay.
Um, so anybody that came just for D&D, thank you so much for popping in here. Hopefully by next session, we should have a new look. I don't know if you could tell from the way that the cameras look or anything, but I'm using a different program for this, which seems to be less bandwidth and better quality. And depending on how things go with this, I may be able to set up a whole new look of things, and not have to redo it every time. And by doing that, that's going to make my life a hell of a lot easier because then I just have one setup and I don't have to fucking redo it every time. So it'll look a lot more professional. Me personally, as a perfectionist, this bothers me the way it looks right now because it just seems kind of like thrown together, and I don't like that. So there should be a new a new intro, which will be really nice to have some sort of a professional looking intro for it. And just all around new branding. So next week, hopefully that'll be going for that. Um, but yeah, so that's all I got really for D&D for this time around. Like I said, next week we'll have a full session, and we will continue the story forward. So thank you guys if you came just for that. If not, then we'll be switching over to do some World of Warcraft here for a couple hours. But first, I need to go use a bathroom. So I'm gonna go throw up the BRB screen real quick here, and then yeah, and then I'll be right back. So bear with me 1 second here, guys.